My husband's ex-girlfriend is dying. Her last wish is to be with my husband. Plus update. As the title goes, my 35 male husband's ex-girlfriend 33 female was recently diagnosed with late-stage breast cancer, and her last wish is to be with my 30 female husband. My husband, let's call him Seb, and his ex Tanya became best friends after their breakup a couple of years ago due to her infidelity. They were together for 5 years. Needless to say, they remained in contact even before he met me. I would be lying if I said it never made me feel uncomfortable even once. It did, and it still does, because Tanya is still in love with my husband. She never denied it, and in fact would even call or message me when she can't get a hold of Seb. Aside from cancer, she also has some mental health issues, thus my husband would always tell me to be kind and patient. Seb is no longer in love with her, of course. She cheated, and Seb swore that he would never get back to her and that he only sees her as family. 2 weeks ago, my husband received a call from Tanya to tell him about the sad news. My husband cried with her and told her everything is going to be okay. They were on the phone the whole day. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that Seb and I moved to Australia a few months ago because of my job, and Tanya is in Canada. They mostly talk via distance call or WhatsApp. They've been in contact almost every day since we left. Which always bothers me, but what can I do? After that call, my husband told me everything. To be honest, I felt bad for her and I genuinely feel sad. I asked him what's going to happen now. Seb told me he's going back to Canada. Which is a shock. He then told me that her last wish was to be with him. I didn't say anything except what about me? He said if I can't leave my job, then he's going to visit me whenever he gets the chance. I walked out without saying anything. I've been avoiding my husband since the phone call and have been ignoring him whenever he tries to bring up the conversation. Yesterday, I found out he already bought a ticket and is flying back home in January. I feel like he's abandoning me, but at the same time, I feel that I'm selfish for hating both of them. I'm honestly thinking of getting a divorce because obviously, he's choosing her over me, but at the same time, I thought of why my husband is so attached to her. Seb considered Tanya and her family like his own, as he doesn't have one. She's probably like a sister to him now. But Tanya doesn't feel the same. She's madly in love with my husband, and him granting her wish will surely make her think they still have a chance. My entire life I've been putting others first. I've been very patient and understanding about their weird relationship. I feel sick, confused. I want to call her, yell at her for ruining my marriage, for trying to steal my husband from me, for using her sickness to get what she wants, for being a bee. I'm so mad at both of them. What did I do to deserve this? Update. Seb did end up flying back to Canada in January last year. Before he flew, we talked about the situation and I told him I've been in contact with a divorce lawyer. He was surprised. He said he didn't expect me to leave him just because he needed to be with his family. I remember at the time all I felt was anger. I was so mad that he was making it sound like I was the bad person. Nevertheless, the conversation didn't end well. He left without any closure, but he said he would be back in March. I was left alone. January to March last year was the darkest days of my life. I knew I did nothing wrong, but I ended up blaming myself for everything. I hate to admit, but I canceled the meeting with my lawyer as I started to doubt if I really wanted to leave him or not. I love him so much to the point that I'm willing to accept him again when he's back. During the entire time he was gone, he rarely called to check on me. I had to call him most of the time. I know, I'm dumb. I feel so alone and sad. I begged for his attention, to give me some of his time, to be with me again. All that time he kept telling me that Tanya needed him more. March, I was expecting him to come back so we can talk. But he didn't come back. He said he needed to stay longer and promised me he would be back in May. I don't know what happened to me when I got that call from him in early March to tell me he wouldn't be flying back to Australia. At the time, I felt like there was a switch that suddenly turned off because somehow, I stopped caring. When he told me he wouldn't be back until May, I knew I had to move forward without him. Fast forward to May, and he was back. That day, we sat down to talk. He broke down and said, "I can't lose you too." When he said that, I thought Tanya was gone. But no, she's not, and as far as I know, she's still alive to this day. I asked what happened and he told me that Tanya asked him to go back and be with me. He said that Tanya was sorry for everything. Seb didn't want to leave her, especially when he saw how bad she was doing. They had a fight and according to him, Tanya wants him out of her life. If I was the same dumb person, I would totally accept him back, but at that time, all I could think was he's only back because Tanya doesn't want him anymore. I let him cry. I comforted him and let him stay in my apartment. A week later, I told him I was divorcing him. At first, he refused to leave. It was a long and painful process, but on my birthday in July, he finally realized that he couldn't manipulate me anymore. By August, he was back in Canada. Divorce is not finalized yet, but we have been separated since he left. He tried to contact me several times last year. Tanya also tried to contact me. Everyone, including my family, tried to convince me to give him a second chance. But that day in March when I finally came back to my senses, I knew nothing could make me change my mind. As of now, I'm doing fine alone by myself. I got promoted last year and moved to a bigger apartment near the beach. I found new friends and recently got into Pilates. I've traveled to Australia and New Zealand and met some amazing people. I feel like a completely different person. Last year was a major turning point in my life. Seb still bothers me from time to time, but he knows I couldn't care less anymore. Sometimes I talk to him. I still care, but not as much. I've been told by our common friends that he's not doing well. He became an alcoholic and couldn't get a good job because of it. He's mostly couch surfing because Tanya doesn't want him to live with her. Lol. That beach.